Hello and welcome to the Sports Injury Webinar. So in this webinar we are going to be talking about patellar tendonitis. So this refers to an injury of the tendon connecting your kneecap, which is your patella, to your shin bone. So this patella is connected at the top into the quadriceps and then is attached at the bottom by the patellar tendons. The muscle works with the muscle of the front of your thigh, so your quadriceps, to extend your knee. This helps with, basically it's going to allow you to kick, run, jump, most of your main movements which involve bending your leg, the patellar tendon is going to have an effect on. Okay. So let's have a look. So you can see here in the red, that is the inflamed patellar tendon, and then this is your quadriceps joining at the top here, and this is your patella, the kneecap. So you can see that it's just below, attaching to your main shin bone. Catching at the top there, we can see. So this kind of injury can happen to anyone. It's most common in sports people, but it's not to say that your normal person wouldn't get it. It just can happen to different people depending on anything from walking style to bending down to a job that requires you to bend down a lot, and anything like that can affect and start to have an effect on your tendons there. But most sports people will suffer from a kind of tendonitis at some point. It's pretty likely to happen. There's lots of different types. I know, for example, I've suffered with wrist and I've also had tendonitis of the patella as well, and it's not nice. It is very painful, but there's lots of other joints you can get them in as well across your body. The most common, I think, which I will be talking about today, is the patellar ligament, mainly because running and jumping is involved in most sports you do. You have football, rugby, basketball, most of your kind of boxing, all that kind of thing. A lot of pressures on your knees. So this injury will affect the tendon known as the patellar tendon, as we talked about earlier. It's located just below the patella. Tendons are basically a tough band of fibers that usually connect muscle to bone. However, after time, they can, although they are quite tough and resilient, they can begin to stretch and tear if they're constantly under lots of pressure. This injury will affect you, as we said, right below the kneecap. It will make it very sensitive, depending on the severity of the injury, obviously. It will hurt to apply pressure on the, like if you were to go down on one knee, it may hurt. To bend the leg, it may hurt. Obviously, it depends what stage you're in. This injury can happen in most types of sports, as we discussed earlier. It can happen to most types of people. Obviously, as I said, some sports are prone more to injuries like this, like for example cricket. You do run, but it's not quite as demanding as I said. I used ice hockey here because I play that, but there's also football, there's rugby, basketball as well. Lots of jumping and landing, lots of pressure on your knee. So it can happen to anybody. However, it is normally the higher impact sports that people tend to suffer with it. There's a few ways you can get this injury. The main way is probably, I would say, tightness in the surrounding muscles. So if your quadriceps are tight, they're going to pull on the top of your kneecap. So that's going to lift your patella up, and then that's going to increase to the tension of the ligaments. So I know when I got tendonitis in my knee, I was stretching my quad lots daily to release, almost like it's like an elastic band. If elastic band with a coin in the middle, say, and you're pulling one side, it's going to pull on the coin and tighten the other side. So I was trying to release as much pressure in the quads as I could. There's also overuse as well. For example, if you're squatting really heavy or lots of constant impacts, and it's like most things, when your muscle can't bear the impact anymore, it tries to share the load out, and that can end up being shared onto your ligament there, and your tendon, in your knee. So it's again the same kind of principle. It's going to be pulled upwards and it's going to tighten the ligament. It's just through overuse this time. So the symptoms to look out for. So let's have a look at which ones for stage 1. So stage 1 of the injury, okay, it's going to be when you're doing activity, it's going to feel fine, pretty much normal. There's going to be a light ache after the exercise. Symptoms will tend to disappear within a day. Stage 2, a light ache during the activity, a slight pain after. If you've had pain before, it goes away and then comes back after exercise. Stage 3 is mild pain before the activity, pain during the activity, and strong pain after. And then when it gets to stage 4, if you've let tendonitis get to this stage, there's a high chance of tearing a tendon. Everyday activities are affected and it hurts constantly. How long does it take to recover? Recovery time can be anywhere from 2 weeks onwards, depending on the severity of the injury. There's lots of rest and stretching required. Release the pressure, allow the tendon to recover. There's also specific exercises which can do to strengthen the areas around it, and then when the tendon is back to stage 1, you can start trying to work on strengthening around that area as well. Ice is going to help to reduce swelling, because as you'll see in a minute, it can swell a lot. So on the left there is an example, on their right, our left, is an example of tendonitis. Below the kneecap, so you can see it's greatly swollen. These are the sources that I've used for the video. Thank you for listening.